Hi, Coach Nahanni here with some Zoom tips. Since so much of our work is done virtually these days, it's really important that you get your Zoom etiquette down and learn a few basic technical things so that you can have an effective Zoom presence. If you miss these things, you can accidentally miscommunicate. You can have an unintended effect on your audience, on whoever you're trying to reach, that may skew things not in your favor. So I want to make sure that you get this down before you make some of these very common mistakes. So the first thing I want to talk about is lighting. So I'm using what's called a Lume Cube, L-U-M-E, Lume Cube, or I'll use also a ring light. So those are my two favorite lighting sources. I also like to sit with a window right behind my lens so I can have daylight. So if you don't have lighting, you can always use daylight, but make sure that it's coming from your, whatever light source you use is coming from behind your lens so that it's hitting your face directly, not from an angle, which means no overhead lighting, no side lighting, no backlighting. Those are the three most common mistakes. If you are backlit, your face will be sort of hazy. We won't be able to see your eyes. And that's the most important thing when communicating, is that we have a clear view of your eyes with no shadows on your face. So again, your light source always coming from behind your lens directly to your face. Now, your frame is a very easy thing to solve and a very common mistake. My frame right here is a medium close-up in film world. That's called a medium close-up, where my head is at the top of the frame and it's just below my shoulders. Now, one common mistake people make is they will do this so that there's all of this empty space. So we want to avoid having that much empty space in the frame. Your head should just touch the top of the frame. And the other thing that's a common mistake, easy to fix, is your camera angle. Your lens of your camera should be even with your eyes. Now, your laptop camera is sufficient, but I use a Logitech webcam. It's a little more clear. So if you are doing a lot of important meetings or recordings on Zoom, I highly recommend getting a Logitech webcam and a Lume Cube, a ring light. So, but you can really improve the quality of your Zoom meetings or your Zoom recordings with the proper angle. Now, one of the most common mistakes I see is people looking down at their computer with their lens pointed up. So this is because your computer is lower, and your camera lens is lower than your face. And you often get a flattering up the nose shot with a lot of ceiling. So this is one of the most common mistakes and the easiest to correct with just the proper camera angle. You might need to raise your computer up, put it on some, hold on, let me just get this. There we go. Put it on some boxes or books or whatever so that you get it up high enough so that you can have that lens directly even with your eyes. That is the secret to the proper frame and good angle. Now, your background, you want to keep that simple, clean, not a lot of personal stuff or clutter. I have just a curtain back here. A bare wall is sufficient, or just something generic with not a lot of personality. No family pictures, because it's very distracting. People will start looking at your people in your pictures rather than listening to what you're saying. So the main thing is you don't want anything to distract from you. Now, blurring out the background is something that people do. I don't suggest it because I find myself getting distracted by the blurriness of the background. So you just basically want a simple background. You can just put a curtain up behind you, or you can also get kind of a screen that goes behind you. There are things you can get, but it's really just easier to find a blank wall or throw a curtain up. Sound. Now, you want to choose a place where you're not going to be interrupted, something that's quiet. Tell your friends and family, whoever you're with, to tone it down. I like to say quiet on set before I start recording. Sometimes it works, but your sound is, here's one of the most important things. Turn off notifications on your computer and turn the ringer off on your phone. So those things are easy to control. Your neighbors, maybe not so much. but you definitely want to turn off those notifications before any kind of important Zoom meeting or recording. Now, your wardrobe should always be professional. Now, if you are representing yourself or a firm, you have to hold to the highest standard of professionalism, which includes your wardrobe. Now, I don't suggest wearing a business top and a sweatpants on the bottom, because what that does is it still makes you feel casual, and the way you feel translates to the way you communicate. So when you're getting dressed up for a business meeting, you got to do the whole thing, top and bottom. And it'll just make you feel more in character. And whatever character you're trying to be, you will feel it more if you have the right wardrobe. Also, you don't want to have any distracting colors or patterns, especially on the top half. No prints, no bright colors. It should be neutral and something, again, that does not distract from your face or what you're saying. Your hair and makeup, it is like a performance, and you want to keep, again, keep the distractions down. So no kind of hair in your face or a lot of makeup. None of those things really translate well on camera. So it's best to keep all of those things simple, professional, and neutral. Your eye line means that's where you're looking. So right now I'm looking right into camera. That's not always going to be the case. If you have to communicate with somebody on Zoom, you might be looking at them, which means you're going to be looking a little lower than camera. You might be looking here. So my eye line now is on my computer screen, a little lower than camera. So what you want to do is, if you are talking to somebody on Zoom, you want to put that window, the window that they're in, that you're looking at, put it as high as you can. So you're not looking down here, because here I'm looking on the lower end of my computer screen, and you can't see my eyes. So if you want to look at the person, which is fine, just make sure you put them as high up as you can, as close as you can to the lens, so that you will have a better eye line, so your audience, whoever you're communicating with, will be able to see your eyes. If you have notes for your questions or anything, just keep them out of frame. Anything that you have, your coffee cup, just keep it out of frame. Keep it on a table close by, somewhere out of frame, so that we don't get distracted by that. That also goes for your hands. Watch the distraction of the hands. Don't touch your face. Also, there's something really bizarre and creepy about hands touching your face when you're having a meeting. It shouldn't be strange, but it just is. That goes for other things, like too much movement in the mouth is also very distracting. So for example, eating or chewing gum or anything that focuses on the mouth will distract from your eyes, which is where the communication is happening. That's an acting thing. So keep your hands out of frame. Keep your props, your notes, your coffee cups, everything out of frame. It's okay to have a glass of water, but just keep it, we don't necessarily always want the logos on the glasses. Okay, your posture, this is also movement. Keep your movement to a minimum. Your posture should be good. Sit up, don't get too comfortable unless you're talking to your mom. Just, keep it professional, sit up straight. I'm sitting in a swivel chair, which is dangerous, because if you're on for a long time, there's a temptation to want to move around. And again, you will be, that will be distracting from what you're saying. So you want to use a stationary chair and keep the movement to a minimum. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how to prepare for an interview or a meeting. One of the things that happens to people when they get nervous is they stop breathing. Not completely, hopefully not, but your breathing will get shallow. And when your breathing gets shallow and you get a little bit nervous, and again, you might not even feel nervous. You might feel nervous, but you might think, oh, I'm just a tiny bit tense, or just a little bit of nerves will affect your breathing and will start a cascade of chemicals in your brain that puts you into fight or flight mode. Yes, it is ridiculous that you should be in fight or flight mode over a Zoom meeting, but that's what we do. And that's what our brains do unless we take charge of them. So what you want to do, and this works for any meeting or any situation where you are nervous or you might get nervous, you want to take control of your breathing, first of all, and make sure that you are breathing deeply. Now, when I work with actors, I tell them this only takes 10 seconds before an audition, and nobody has to know you're doing it. You can do it right in front of somebody and they won't know. But what you're going to do, and you can do it with me right now, is you're going to check your body and make sure that you're not holding tension or twisting in any way. Because sometimes when people get nervous, they'll twist their bodies. The tension will creep up and will twist you. It's weird. I do it. So make sure your body is straight. Your feet are flat on the floor, and relax your shoulders, and then take a couple of deep breaths. Are you doing this with me? Okay, ready? A couple of deep breaths. It's an inhale and an exhale, and one more inhale. So I'm not doing this. I'm not doing, I don't know why people do that. But when I say breathe, a lot of people go, it's not blowing out a candle. It's focusing on the in-breath. So you want to pull oxygen in at the same time. You want to check your shoulders and your neck for tension. That is the most obvious place where it tends to, creep up and collect. So you relax your body. You breathe deeply for a couple of breaths. Again, you can do it in 10 seconds. I've timed it. And as you're doing that, you start to relax your body, you'll notice that those chemicals, those fight or flight chemicals that are cascading through you will stop. Once you can control your breathing, you can control those chemicals. And when you're in fight or flight, it's very hard to think clearly. You might find yourself going blank. It's like stage fright. That's what stage fright is, and forgetting what you're doing. So when you can breathe and relax your body, that should stop that process enough for you to go back to your notes if you have to, and just get clear about what am I here to do. So if you're being interviewed, you would be thinking about the situation that you are addressing, that you're answering questions on, and just your intention, the way you want to affect the person who's interviewing you. So if you are a witness, for example, and you are innocent, you want to make sure that you're communicating that in the way that the other person can understand. So you want to be thinking about, what's my objective here? What am I trying to communicate? If you're an interviewer, the same thing. You want to be thinking, how do you want to affect the other person, and what do you need from them? So you always want to do that 10-second breathing and relaxation, and then circumstances. Go straight to the what are the circumstances? What am I here to do? That is a 10 to 20 second preparation for anything you do before you start any meeting, and that will help you not have a runaway train experience when you just are going on nerves, and things can sometimes careen out of control, and you might project something that is unintended. Often the things that make people not like someone are things that they don't even know they're doing. They can be nervous responses. There are a myriad of nervous tics that people have that are bizarre and that can turn other people off and give people the wrong impression. So this is why it's really, really important to take that 10 to 20 seconds to relax your body, breathe, and start with clarity so that you don't go off and give somebody the wrong impression. So when you are the interviewer, there's a few things that you want to remember in that same realm. Like, what impression are you giving the person that you are interviewing? If you need information, you have to go in with sensitivity and empathy to their situation to allow them to relax and open up. So your actions that you're going to be playing, that's what actors do, they play actions, are going to be maybe to comfort or to console if it's a victim of a crime. They can be to encourage, but you want to always be thinking about the other person and how you can assist them. That will give them the opportunity to relax and respond in a way that serves you. Not that we're just being self-serving here, but let's be honest, we are. So when you are being interviewed, the same thing. You want to be emotionally appropriate. You want to be thinking about the situation. So if you're, for example, talking about something that's in the past or something that you're not emotionally connected to, you want to be careful not to be too glib or too lighthearted about it if it's something serious, because that can give the impression that you just don't care and that you are callous. Even if you're not intending that, or if that's not who you are, you want to be emotionally appropriate to the situation. So if it's a serious situation, you want to give that a thought to that before you start talking about it. Be specific when you answer questions. Don't ramble. And that also goes for interviewers. Be specific when you ask the questions. Don't ramble on. Don't ask invasive questions that have nothing to do with what you need. And interviewees, don't ramble on about stuff that isn't relevant. There's enough to talk about, and it's really good practice to not allow your nerves to make you chat. Too much chatter is often a nervous response. So you see why the controlling the nerves is important. Honestly, that's one of my nervous responses, is chatter. So it's not a good one, let me tell you. And some people have strange physical tics that they'll do. So this being calm and breathing it just covers a lot of ground, covers a lot of problems. So yeah, don't ramble, don't chatter on. When you are talking to the person, before you start, again, be very clear who you're talking to and why. Now, while you're in the middle of the interview, if you feel at any time like you're getting off track, that is an opportunity to stop and breathe and think. Refer to your notes. If you're going to refer to your notes, I recommend that if you have a notebook, that you keep it right next to your lens so that you don't have to look down and give the camera a view of the top of your head. So you want to keep your notes. You can either keep them on your screen if you have a digital file, or if you've got a notepad, I just prop it up against my screen so that I don't have to look down. So again, if you feel like you're getting off track, breathe, relax, refocus just for a few seconds, and it will really help you to keep that interview moving along and to not say something that you didn't mean to. So stay present, stay on purpose, be mindful, attentive, and always, always be courteous and grateful for the time that this other person is giving you.